Sometimes we give ourselves no credit for all the challenges we've overcome. That's where our greatest strength comes from.
You can't witness the greatness within us without it also existing within you.
So we have to have more of us in those rooms where those decisions are being made, in places of leadership.
You have to really be strong in who you are.
That's the one thing I can say, Bev, that is missing so much from our young people, being able to get that shared knowledge and appreciation for a lot of women, a lot of things that women before us have done.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2024. And as a result, welcome to Pursuit of Dreams 2024. And you really work hard to kick off the season and the new year right for everybody. So I have a phenomenal co-host and expert on the panel, Dr. Tracy Shaw. And Dr. Shaw has been with the sports psychologist for Olympians, for everyone. It is unbelievable. So, Dr. Shaw, welcome to the show again. We missed you.
Well, it's an honor to be a part of the program once again. I miss the team. And as you talk about just the pursuit of greatness and the pursuit of dreams, it's just exciting to once again at the beginning of the year focus on the topics that we're focusing on, because it creates that whole roadmap for success and for people to pursue their dreams.
Blessings. So let's get to it. We got to go with the baby on the staff, who I consider a baby and one of my babies from afar. Miss Dawn Harper, Olympic gold medalist, silver medalist, multi-time U.S. champion, and just a phenomenal human being. Whenever you think of a role model that you want to emulate within life, not just sports, but within life, Dawn is one of the people I think of. And people always tell me, why are you smiling all the time? And I was like, dang, I do, until I met Dawn. And then I realized my smile was slightly above average, because her smile brings a smile to my heart whenever I see it. So Dawn Harper Nelson,
so
welcome to Pursuit of Dreams, because you are one of my dream guests.
Thank you so much. Let me say this. Thank you for coming with something to make me smile about my laugh, because I was like, is she trying to make me cry? Is she trying to get me choked up before we start? That to me, that is, first of all, one of the best introductions I've ever had, because you didn't just speak on, obviously, the medals that I've attained and just the things that I've done in track and field. When I tell you my heart's desire is to be a good person, I always say, like, I want, for real, when this is done, I want people like, hey, she was funny though. Like, she was a cool person. Like, she was cool. That's what I want. And
you are
part of that, how I knew
absolutely on track.
Right. I knew I was doing something right, because after races, the athletes would still want to come to my room and talk to me after I won a race. Like the hurdlers that got second, third, fourth, fifth, I was like, oh, we still friends. So for me, that was just a good gauge of, I know that I'm blessed with this gift. So thank you.
And you are truly gifted.
Mm-hmm.
And the next young lady coming to the stage is not really that young, but we won't talk about it, because we were talking backstage and I told the story that Miss Joetta Clark allowed me to coach her, not realizing I was three or four maybe years older than her. That's it, at Tennessee. I started at the University of Tennessee in 19 that in Joetta was there as an assistant, as finishing out her grad, and I coached her, and that was my introduction into the middle distance group.
Mm.
And I've never looked back. I would never have had national champions, etc.
Mhm.
But let me say something very personal about Joetta. The reason I really wanted Joetta and Dawn on here together is because you can't be a champion if you don't have the courage to have a voice.
Mm.
You cannot be a champion in life if you do not stand up for what you believe in. So I had to get this serial. She's a serial. I want y'all to understand that. She ought to be in jail. She's a serial entrepreneur.
Wow.
She is exceedingly motivational, intelligent, and both of these young ladies are competitive as all get out. And I couldn't think of two better people to give you guys just the wisdom and knowledge from their heart to help you be the greatness that you desire to be in 2024. Not only is she a, what is it? How many times you been an Olympian? Because I lost count. It's inhumane. That's over a
That's crazy.
16-year period of greatness, not including what happened before that, because this child came out of high school being phenomenal. Somebody, and then had nerve to have kid who's phenomenal,
Yes.
who's an Olympian, and a brother who coaches Olympians, and a sister-in-law, and a sister who's an Olympian. I mean, Jesus, I ain't even got to Joe Clark. This is as bad as Dawn's whole family was on TV with the same smile. I'm not happy about this. So welcome to the show, Miss Joetta Clark.
Well, thank you for that nice and kind, polite introduction. When you asked me to be in the show, I was like, yes. And then you told me who was going to be in the show with me. I said, yes and yes. It's my job to give back and to make sure that people understand that, yeah, all these Olympic accolades are fine and all that good stuff. But it's more to it than that. It's about having a voice and about making a difference, not only in your life and the life of others. And at this age, if I can't get back and reach back and help someone up and direct some of these young people, then everything I did and accomplished was in vain.
Yeah.
Wow, powerful. So you know how we do. We jump right in. And on that, I've seen and heard both of you speak on something that's really critical, no matter whether you're in sports or in life. And it's called discipline. What does that word mean to you on your looking back as an athlete? What did that mean to your success, and what advice would you give young people about discipline? Even me, one of the things I realize is that I have to have self-discipline. And I'm 65. I look good though. I ain't ashamed. No facelift, no Botox, just love in my heart. So let's talk about that word. Which one of y'all want to go?
Okay, well, when I think of discipline for myself as an athlete, I was raised in a household from my father, Dr. Joe Clark, and my mother, Joetta Clark, and discipline was part of what we did and didn't know anything else. And discipline meant getting up early and doing what you didn't want to do. So you would be...
Say that again, doing what you didn't want. That's discipline, ain't it?
Yeah.
It ain't doing what you like to do and love to do all the time.
Right. Doing what you did not want to do. And I learned that at a very early age. And so by me having that imbued in my spirit as I went through life, I didn't want to get up and train. I didn't want to run in the snow. I didn't want to do all these things. But I did not want to not win my races. I did not want to not get on the podium. So I did all the things that I didn't want to do. So I would have the opportunity to do the things that I wanted to do, which was in track and field, which was to win. But I use that in all aspects of my life. People don't want to exercise, take care of themselves, eat healthy, but then they want to have this certain look. You do the things that you don't want to do so you can do the things that you can do and accomplish all those goals.
Wow, powerful. Miss Dawn.
Yes, ma'am. So when you said discipline, the first question is for weird enough that came to my mind is, do you want it? Like, that's just the question. Discipline is, do you want it? It is when no one is looking. And I am so big on, and my husband's a track coach at his high school, and I help him out. And I always say, don't come to me when you're happy, all excited, and you're well rested, and you're telling me all these dreams. But when it gets hard and it's time to be disciplined, now all of a sudden, everything changes. And I mean, the whole atmosphere shifts because you're like, well, I mean, I ain't know it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. Take your mind to the worst of the worst. Like, you're going to have the worst butt lock that you have. You couldn't even fathom the things that you're going to feel. Now is when discipline kicks in. Now is when the dream is really on the line. And so for me, I just think about all the times that you go to the line and you're like, he crazy. Like he's just absolutely crazy. But then you think about, I'm well hydrated, I've eaten, I've done all the things that I need to do. And now is the time to be disciplined and put one foot in front of the other. To be disciplined absolutely means the dream is it attainable or not? That's it. And so for me, when I think of, like I said, the younger kids, and you say, talk to them, right now, we are totally in a world of absolutely, I want it right now. Can I get it right now? And oh my goodness, that was easy because I push a couple buttons and I have it. That's just not life. That's not reality. And I know I'd say all the time, you hear your parents say blah, blah, blah. 9 times out of 10, they're right. I know that they lived and was raised in a different world, but they're just trying to teach you discipline. And you're going to either learn it now or you're going to learn it later. And so that's just some of the things that I think of when I think of discipline.
When I listen to both of you, and I hear people, I talk to a lot of coaches because I consult with coaches. What do you feel? Give me a moment that challenged you along your journey, that you had to make a decision. My goal, where I'm going, is more important than what I'm going through.
Right.
Talk about it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Don.
Popped in my head. This for me, it was the most it was straight up my conversation with God, because I was confused. I was like, you said talk to you, right? I'm talking and I hope you're listening. I was furious, confused. I felt like I had made so many sacrifices. And to me, he had the nerve to put me in another challenge of my faith. Not a challenge, I'm sorry, like a test of my faith, and just a test of how bad do you want it? It was 2008 and it was February, and I was at practice. Everything was fine, go over a hurdle, and this excruciating pain, it just was in my knee. And I was like, I didn't know what happened. I mean, it was, and all I knew was I couldn't hurdle anymore. I couldn't run. And I'm like, I didn't do anything but hurdle. And so I literally just go pick up my bag, and I just tell Bobby, I'm going to St. Louis. And he's like, what's happening? I'm like, something's wrong with my knee. I just knew. So I get on the plane and fly to St. Louis, where my doctor was. He does MRIs and all this stuff. And he's like, there's something going on in your knee, and you're going to have knee surgery. Now, think about this. In my training group, there is 4 hurdlers in the U.S. alone. I'm not talking about Texas, Florida, Oregon, nowhere else. In California, is 4 hurdlers in my training group at UCLA's track. And in the U.S. only takes 3 to the Olympics. So every day there was a reality that we were faced with, that one of us was not going to make it. But the problem was, it was a defending Olympic champion, Joetta Hayes, 2-time world champion, Michelle Perry, and then Jenny Crawford, okay, from USC. That was collegiate record holder that I had raced my whole collegiate career. And all of them had awesome, when I say awesome Nike contracts. And I had 3 jobs that I was working, and then driving around in the old car that my father had bought me. So every day I see them come on the track, they got their names on their spikes. I mean, they decked out in Nike gear, and I'm wearing my old UCLA Adidas gear. And doctors tell me I have to have knee surgery. And I remember in that moment, I got on my watch, I pushed it, I gave myself 60 seconds to be so mad. I went there, like the doctor stepped out. I was like, are you serious? Like, because it was like, first of all, I tell people all the time, you're going to be faced with some stuff, let it out. Don't always brush everything to the side. Some stuff you got to cry about. because it seems like the dream is being shattered before your eyes. And I cried and screamed and was so mad at God for 60 seconds. And then literally when it was up, I was like, so, all right, when we having the surgery and what we got to do? Because what I don't have any more time, because at that time, the time in California, they were at track practice. And so I said, again, they're getting another step on me. So what you don't have time for is a pity party to say, why me? Oh my goodness. They have money. They've been on teams. Well, you haven't. So what are you going to do for it? And I knew that me, the doctor, and Bobby Kersey, we had to put together an amazing plan. But I will say it was the work that I had done before, the training that I had done before, the believing that I had done in myself before and in the program that got me to be able to bounce back and respond the way that my body did. But in that moment, it was the most, like it was like, either you're going to go left or right. Either you're going to give up on the dream or it's absolutely here to face. And I was willing to face that. So in that moment, I felt like that's my moment of what you just asked. What is it right now?
That was actually your gold medal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the moment you make a decision to move forward when 95%, if not 99% of the people, Dr. Shaw, would sit down. And every human being on the face of this earth faces that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You have a choice.
They can go broke.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the inventions failed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't get jobs. I've seen people fall down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the ones that get back up with stronger than when they hit the ground that move forward in life. Dawn, isn't that the year you won the Olympic gold?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We'll get back to that.
Okay.
But
yes,
that, in that decision moment,
Absolutely.
is when you won the medal.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Even though it was in August,
right.
February is when you won that medal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
For me, I think that if I go back to 1988, I had made the Olympic team, but my 159 was so far behind. Everybody was running 153s and 154s. And I began to question, should I try this again? And I never forget, I was in the room when Madeline Manny Mims was the minister of sports at that time. And so I was over there upset crying. And it's so funny because I knew I was only running 159, but for some strange reason, I thought I could get a medal run 154, which would be about 6 seconds or so off of my PR. But I
only 6 seconds.
Yeah, only 6 seconds. Right? And I went in there and I said, this is it. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't have a big contract at the time. I didn't know what was going to happen. So she said, do you like running? I said, yeah, I enjoy it. I like the traveling. And she said, just pray. And I never forget, I went back and I prayed. I said, you know what? I'm going to try this one more time. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to put everything into it. I'm going to fight the good fight. And we're going to see what's going to happen. And so that's what I did. And lo and behold, the wall came down in 1989. So all of a sudden, all in Germany, all of a sudden, all those girls that were running 154, 153, and now running 159. I'm now running 158 at that time. So now I'm in the mix. And it's that moment. One more fight. Staying there one more time. I showed up one more time. I showed up one more year. And that's the big year where after I did all that running, I ended up being 4th in the world and got a contract. But if I would have given up on my dreams because I was measuring my success by somebody else's success, I wouldn't have been able to stay in this career 3 more, times to make Olympic, 3 more Olympic teams. So for me, for saying in that one more year, I know the wall was going to fall down. I didn't know how fast I was going to run, but I knew I'd do it one more time and keep training hard and just keep showing up. And that's what I did. I showed up one more year, and that was the pivotal point in my career that made me last until 2000.
Okay, Dr. Shaw, I'm going to let you in. I just want to say this. At certain points in your life, understand that it's okay to question God. God ain't going to question you, but God wants you to question him, because once you question him, you're actually calling upon that inner strength, that spiritual strength. And that's when you're at your weakest is when the universe and God becomes at its strongest. That's when you become a winner. It's that ability, as Joetta said, to take one more step
Yeah.
when the last step didn't feel good.
Yeah.
It's taking the moment, in that moment, because we keep saying, people will say, shake it off. Coaches, stop telling your athletes that. Managers and leaders and administrators, quit telling your employees or your athletes to suck it up or to be tough. That's a word that doesn't exist. You have to acknowledge that disappointment, but you can't live in it. And that's what Dawn did. You have to acknowledge it. You have to allow it.
And you know what?
That's
And,
when the
and really
clarity
quick,
comes.
like, I think what you're saying is like, you have to acknowledge it. And what we're saying, me and Miss Joetta, we are very clear that in that moment, nope. You like, nope, don't know, but Miss Joetta don't get it. Dawn don't get, they don't know what I'm feeling, right? You don't, like, you are so in your own world of trauma and just like, you, I mean, you're like, there's not going to be a brighter day. Like, it's not possible. This is crazy that this just happened. Like you said, for you, like, how I'm going to run 159 and get down with somebody run like 150? Like, you had every right. Everything around you gave you every right to believe everything you were telling yourself in them. Like, if you talk to anyone else besides who you talk to, they would have said, I mean, that's kind of true. Like,
God's going to disagree. God is saying, it's okay.
It's okay.
At your weakest, I'm your strongest. When you don't have a plan, I already know the outcome.
I'm telling you.
Joetta had no idea that wall was going to come down.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why you have to control the
He
control.
moved the mountain.
Yep.
No one else overcomes those type of injuries in February and win the Olympics in August. Okay, Dr. Shaw, I'm gonna let you in now because we about to get going.
I know. I am just thrilled and excited because what these queens are talking about, these queens of track and field, they're talking about when my back was against the wall, when there was no other choice, I had a choice. And because of their resiliency, which is a characteristic deep down in all of us, because of their resiliency, they were willing to say to themselves, what are you prepared to do now? And what they were prepared to do at that moment was not to give up. And they were able to make that decision even back when they recognized in their initial start of their career the importance of discipline. So the foundation was already set that when the rubber meets the road, what are you prepared to do? And because they had already established a legacy of being disciplined, it was easy to say, I'm going all the way. I'm not giving up. But that's because of that character of resiliency and the foundation that they had built years earlier in regards to discipline, from my perspective. And one last point, they believed that they knew that they knew that they knew they had the skills and abilities to succeed because they had built that foundation.
You know,
the foundation is critical. Yes, please.
If I could add something, Dr. Shaw, I think that we talked about discipline and about not giving up, but I also think it's important to know about motivation.
Yes.
What motivates you? People say, Joetta, how do you motivate people? How are you motivated to stay in the sport for over 30 years and be at the top for over 24 years? And I say, look, you can't teach motivation. Some dogs just don't bark. Some people just don't have it. But when you have it, and then you put the talent and the coaching and the discipline with it, you are another individual. So for me, it's like that dog lying on the nail. The dog is lying on the nail, moaning and groaning, and you're wondering, why doesn't the dog get up? It doesn't get up because it doesn't hurt bad enough. So what in your life hurts you bad enough to get up for that nail and do something about your condition? Well, it was hurting me bad enough to be in the back, not making any money and running 159. It hurt Dawn bad enough to be in the group of 4 people that could make the team, let alone the other maybe 5 or 6 that were not even in her stable. So motivation is key. And you can't be motivated when it's nice and hot outside or when things are going away. The motivation is the thing that sets you apart from being a competitor or being a champion.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Absolutely powerful.
Yes.
Okay, so listen. Over the years, people have come to me wanting me to coach them either as an athlete or to coach them on how to be successful in life in different professions, or coaches come to me. And the one thing that I tell them is this: I don't have within my repertoire the ability to make you great. The minimum you have to show up with is greatness. If that's not already in you, I can enhance it, I can grow it, I can refine it. I just can't create it. And it is a word that I live by, which is that word is trust. You have to trust in your vision. You have to trust in your gift. And you have to trust in the people that God has surrounded you with on your journey, and be very selective that they are in harmony with your vision for you, that you have, that not they have, but that you have. That trust. Joetta and I were speaking, and I think, Joetta, I was 24 years old, maximum 25.
Okay.
And Joetta's a world-class athlete, and I go to Tennessee as an assistant at 24, 25. And Joetta says to me, will you coach me? And I, without reservation, said absolutely. Because whatever I don't know, you will not fail because of what I don't know. I trust in myself that much. So I want to talk to you guys about trusting in your coaches, trusting in your vision, trusting in yourself, and trusting in your faith. With who wants to speak on that?
Well, I can start with just one thing that popped in my head again when you're talking about trusting the outside people that you are allowing into your circle. So Bobby Kersey was new to me, like as in I knew who he was. Okay, he was new in coaching me. He had coached so many greats, but once again, you hadn't coached Dawn. And my question is, but do you believe like I'm trying to believe? Like, do you like? It's not a question. Can he? But do you believe so much that you're going to stay up late for Dawn, thinking about Dawn? You're going to wake up early, stressing about Dawn. And so I remember I got to a point where, and this was, it was funny that I did this. Like I said, training the group with the 3 other ladies. And like I said, we going at it. We just going at each other's heads. Okay. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm getting closer and closer to them. I'm taking the head on every other rep. And I think that's after I injured myself. You know, I'm coming back, but it's not there yet. And
it ain't pretty, huh? It ain't pretty
at all, because they were rolling. And I remember feeling like, now be clear, I'm saying I felt like Bobby wasn't giving me the attention that I felt. So I was like, the trust isn't really, does he think I can still make this team? So I remember I went home and wrote down all these notes, and I had notes, and I'm like, I have to talk to Bobby. I got to find a way to, kind of warm it up, if you will. Because I felt like a baby. I'm like, it's Bobby Kersey. Like, you don't pull Bobby Kersey aside, but you got to. Yes, and so I remember,
you trust in your vision. You have to fight for it.
I have to. Yes. I was at a point where I was like, I have to fight for it, because
can't be no question marks.
Because I'm actually starting to question it, and I haven't questioned it before. So I got to push this out the way. I got to put a check mark by it. So I had my notebook, and I was like, hey, Bobby. I was like, so he does this thing, walk with me, talk with me. So I mean, you about to walk around the track. And so I was like, Bobby, walk with me, talk with me. He was like, what? And I was like, so I'm kind of walking, and he's like, okay. He's like, Dawn, what? And I had my notes, and I was like, well, and I just closed the book, and I was like, you think I can still make this team? And I was like, why am I? It's all these questions. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just need to hear you say it. So then I know that you're still thinking about Dawn, and not just, she's going to help them get better. And he's like, Dawn, I wouldn't be coaching you if I didn't think you, because then he do his snapping on me and everything, basically like, girl, don't be coming over here questioning. And I was like, I needed to hear that. And he was like, all right, get back to your reps. And I was like, okay. But for me, that established the trust again, because I had lost it. And part of it, acknowledging that it was me, but I felt like the conversations weren't quite the same. And he was very clear. He was like, it wasn't time to push you yet. Like what I look like telling you to do what they doing. You just had knee surgery. Like the thing is, I wanted to be where they were, but I wasn't there yet. And so for me, I've always said, you have to have people around you that when you tripping, you have to be so clear on your vision and your dream to them. They tell you, you tripping, right? Like I'll never forget when I graduated, my dad, I've told him, like, I ran at UCLA, okay? And he's like, that's great. That's so fun. But now you have your degree. And he said, we sent you there to get a degree, to get a job and enter the real world. We did not send you there. Yeah, he said this to me. He said, we're not sending you there to go on with this track thing. He said, that was fun. Now it's time to get a real job. And I'll never forget, I was on the phone and I'm like, how do you say this to your father? Because it's the other thing, when you're fighting for a dream, my father knows what's after college. I don't. My father knows what the real world looks like. I don't. So how do you say, nah, daddy, I have a plan for 2 years because I graduated in 06. Don't be trying to age me, whoever watching. I graduated in 06. And I was like, Dad, I have a 2-year plan. And I'm going to work that plan. If it doesn't work out, then we can discuss what you're talking about. I said, what I refuse to do is not work this 2-year plan like nothing else exists. Like, because I felt it was one of those, like, I can't live with myself if I don't see what's in the tank. And my father was like, oh, okay. And then, of course, when I won the Olympics, he was like, you knew what you were talking about. I was like, thank you. Because I said, I'm not going to ask you for a dime. I'm going to bust my tail in California. I'm going to live in this terrible place. I did. My food was in a bin that I put in the refrigerator. It was an old frat house that they had converted into community living. And it was interesting people that stayed there. I had to put my community in the bin. And it was like, hey, please don't eat my food. And it was times that I came back and stuff was missing. But I was like, Daddy, I got to work this dream. And if it don't work, okay, I do have a degree.
That's trusting in the vision. Trusting that vision.
Yeah. And I think to Dawn's point, I'm gonna give a college example and then an open example. In college, I ran with Delisa, and I went to a school where someone was just as good as I was. As a matter of fact,
Delisa Walton, just in case y'all don't know, Google her. Google her. The truth.
So I go there. She had she had taken second in the AIW. So I go there. I came into Tennessee as a 8-15 cross country person. And the coach was Terry Crawford at the time, and she, believed in me. But I always questioned if she really believed in me as an athlete because she always pampered Delisa. And I never forget this day. I said I was a sophomore at that time, so Delisa was a junior, and so I said, "Hey, coach, it looks like you're giving Delisa all the attention. I'm here doing all these workouts, doing everything right, and you're not doing anything, helping me out." She said, Joetta, she said, I don't give you that because you don't need that. She said, I give you what you need. I give Delisa that because she needs that. She says, you were selected as a team captain as a freshman and again as a sophomore. You get up in the morning, you do your distance runs, you do that. I said, well, I need something. She says, you need me to give you workouts and to give you moral support to get you around that track twice in the wind. You don't need me to say get up in the morning or do your cool down and things like that. So as I've gotten older, I realized that coaches that are good coaches and know their athletes and believe in their ability, no matter what it is, they know what they need.
Yep.
And you have to trust in them that they'll give it to you. Trust is an acronym. You have to have the time, you have to have the respect, you have to be uncomfortable, you have to stay the course, and you have to try again. So that's what trust stands for. And that's what I've learned how to do over the years. And as I've gotten older in life, I know something too. So when I'm 30 years old, my brother's now coaching me, JJ. So I know a little something. But I'm able to say a little bit more now than I did when I was younger. And when I was 38 years old, I made my final Olympic team with my family. And I knew I was the weakest link. I just had a major car accident. They told me I would never be able to walk again. And I got rid of my doctors, my physical therapist, and my team because they didn't believe in my vision. So I said, you know what? I need people around me that can get me back. I'm still a fight. I'm still going to fight. I'm a train. You're not going to outthink me on that track. I have all those things, but I cannot be with someone that doesn't trust in my vision. So I got rid of that team, made my last Olympic team with my family. But the bottom line is, when you trust somebody and they trust in you, that's a great combination. And
I always say that's a dangerous combination. That's
Yes.
Dangerous.
yes.
dangerous.
Just straight up dangerous.
Me and Bobby was dangerous.
Dangerous. I love it. I'm going to shift a little bit.
Okay.
ABIS is a phenomenal organization. It's the Advancements of Blacks in Sports. And there was a void that there was no advocate for Black athletes. I remember very distinctly agents and shoe companies hating me.
Mm.
And some coaches fell in the same rank because I said to myself, it is unfortunate that milers and distance runners were getting these phenomenal contracts and couldn't make a final. Yet the Black athletes from the 800 down, women in particularly, were the lowest paid. So I made it my mission to get contracts raised for women with no loyalty to any company or any agent for Black women.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, and that's why I'm a member of ABIS. But you guys were ABIS before there was an ABIS.
Yes.
Because you, whatever you felt was unjust, you spoke on, and you were, and I promise you this, no matter what they said or what they do, I was strong enough to handle the repercussions. And most people don't speak up because they're afraid of what they're going to lose. I was always focused on what I'm going to get. There's a difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. But the thought of not standing in your space and standing up for what you believe in, even if it's against the odds, the pain would have been greater. Both of you at different points in your career have made stands. Do you want to talk about it?
Oh, yeah. I'll take that one. I'll take that one. I'm going to be very transparent. And a lot of times when I talk about my incidents, I don't share it often because people don't understand the dynamic. It was such a long time ago. But the reality is the contracts and the things that these young women, especially in my event, the 815, got because of what I did. Back in 1996, the Olympic Games were coming to Atlanta. And I had a nice contract, still with Nike. I was, had made 2 teams by then. But I wanted to be a model. I wanted to be on the billboards. And at that time, there was Susie Favor Hamilton, who was a distance girl. And I went to Nike and said, hey, Nike, I want to be on this platform. I want to have my picture on these billboards. And they said, Joetta, we want a high-profile athlete. So I went to my agent and said, hey, this is what they told me. He said they told me the same thing. So I got rid of my agent and I went upset. I was upset because I knew they were going to put Susie or somebody that I was beating up and down, left and right, couldn't run with me at all in my event. And I said, okay, I'm going to work this. I understand. They came back to me and said, Joetta, we want a high-profile athlete, but the one we wanted so too much money. And so I didn't understand the game, but I got it. Not only could I be on these magazines, I could make money out of it. So I began positioning myself in contracts so that we would be marketed not only on the track, but off of the track. And I think that when I stood up with Nike, with Don Brown and that crew back then, and I went to them and said, hey, this is not right. This is what I want to have happen. They just couldn't believe it because we were not doing it, especially not black women in the sport. So I did that. And I put in my contract that every time they didn't give me a big base, but I had an amazing bonus structure.
Yes.
So every time I ran under 2 minutes and 159 and 158, I got bonuses. Now every time.
Yeah.
Now you understand this? Not one time and move down.
Right.
Every single time. So that next year in 97, they redid my contract and they made it one and done. But at least I understood how the game worked. So I say all of that to say that in this sport is a business. And if you go in there thinking that your agents and your managers and everybody on your side, and you not understand the bigger scope, when your time is done, you're going to have goose eggs. And I was able to, by the grace of God, invest and do the right thing, as I'm trying to tell these young people to with their finances and position them right, so that when you get to be have your AARP card for 10 years, you have you have something to show for it. So that was my story about being resilient, believing in myself, and not just letting someone take my whole career and not know what's going on. And I have to know what's going on, be aware of what's going on, let them do their job, but hold them accountable, because it's your success. You are the prize, not them.
Absolutely. I'm over here like, which one, how many do I bring up? Because like you said, throughout our career, we just experienced so much. One of the things that is coming to mind is, I remember when this was 2008 again. But no, I remember going through the rounds at the Olympic trials and did not have a contract. So I was running in just, all black. And I remember Nike came to me and they were like, I had ran well in the first round and then in the second round. So they're like, oh, wait, how all of a sudden you got their attention and I'm running for Bobby. So they came over and they're like, hey, they went to this guy that was helping me out, wasn't quite my agent, and told him, hey, we want to offer her like this. And I was like, well, am I stuck there? Like, I didn't understand all of it, but it was more of like, okay, so I've learned enough because I asked questions. And I'm like, but I heard if you sign that, you could be stuck right there. So what does that look like? And they were so confused that I didn't know. And I had no money, but I knew I was like, it was one of those, I got to bet on myself.
You knew your value.
I did. And I was like, I got to bet on myself.
In the moment, you knew your value.
And so made the team. And then they were like, okay, well, we'll do this because she ain't going to go like win or nothing. And I was like, nah, again. But it was one of those, I had heard so many stories about you can sign something and all of a sudden you didn't realize because you didn't read through and you locked in for 4 years and you're like, oh. And so then, like you said, and like you said, when you were running, you understood this is kind of how it is, but you tweaked it. But I had learned that, no, the base can be more, but they just offering me this. And so I was like, no. And went to the Olympics and then won and then it changed. But that's when the stock market and everything crashed. So now I'm in the position of, well, I mean, you're going to take it or leave it because people aren't really offering contracts and stuff like that anymore because the stock market crashed. So what are you going to do? And I remember feeling like a huge failure, even though I had won. But then that's when you get the right people on your team. And then I finally got an agent and he said, okay, well, what we going to do is if they want to offer you this, we going to jack them up on them bonuses. If you sneeze, you going to get paid. If you do this, you going to get paid. And that's why when you were saying this, it made me think about my contract because under that, it was a bunch of, I said, oop, tripped. Oop, guess made a little money. Oop, tripped, made a little money. And then that was 2009 was the year that I just went on a rampage. That's and wonderful. Understood really kind of the game and what that really entailed kind of with contracts and understanding there are a lot of things you can do with contracts if you stand firm. And I have also said, I am an open book. I've had athletes ask me and I'm like, you want to know? Well, did you know that you could do this in your contract? Did you know? Because it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to hurt me because I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do it so then they will want to keep me in hand. It's a business. So if I can help someone else understand that part of it, I will spill all the beans. And then I think about in 2012 at the Olympics, during the Olympic time, only the Olympic sponsors can be promoted. And the athletes actually had a meeting and we said that we were going to all go back to our room and we're going to make a post on social media about it. I was the only one that went back to my room and did a post and became the face of it. And my agent literally called me. He's like, you got to take it down. And I was like, no, us athletes are sticking together. And no one.
Just you.
Just me. And you can look it up. It's a picture of me. Look, I got this scarf on and it's a picture of me with tape over my mouth. And it's like, we won't be silenced. It's just me. But it was one
it wasn't a we.
It was, and the thing is, I was very once, obviously you're sad because the athletes didn't, but I was very okay with I still think that though. You know what I mean? It was one of
I
those,
love
I'm
it.
okay,
Mhm.
whatever that is. Whatever that is. And then one other thing that I end up being the poster child for, and now I'm okay with it, is being really, really dark skinned. I was scrutinized, and after I won 2008 Olympics, when I say the world came for me because
Wow.
I
I
wasn't the
remember.
champion.
And you spoke up honestly about it. And I would say not just honestly, but courageously.
Mhm.
I
And you
was,
stood in your truth.
yeah, but I was terrified. I don't even
It
know,
is
terrified.
never easy.
There's not a strong enough word. I was, because it's like, well, if they did this and I was quiet because I didn't even know what are they going to say, or how will they come for me by saying, but you don't even know me and you're only commenting because of the color of my skin.
The darkness of your skin, because it
Yes.
wasn't just about Black
You were
people.
you are
There
so
were
it was
very lighter skinned athletes that they were trying to make
absolutely.
promote
Yes.
because it was the next best thing to not being Black.
Yes.
And it's not that they're more accepting.
Mhm.
It's it's not that they're accepted. They just are more accepting than the opposite.
Yes.
And there were very few people who had the courage to stand up and say, why am I not? And that's why groups like ABIS are saying
Mhm.
Black companies, organizations promote
Yeah.
all variations of skin color of our Black athletes.
Yeah.
And I also want to say this, ABIS has a program, financial coaching program that I'm going to connect both of you with, so that you can help educate our younger collegiate athletes on standing on business.
Yeah.
Not just because people don't realize. I'll give you an example. When after a while at Texas, I became the highest paid coach in the country. But I had to go outside the system and say, wait a minute, you're paying a soccer coach this, you're paying a women's basketball coach this. I don't deserve more than the women's basketball coach, but I definitely deserve more than the soccer coach. And I've won more than both. And coaches, even coaches of my own color, hated me for it. They said, I thought I was all of that, not understanding I just opened an avenue where all of these coaches are now. If you're not making 300 and up, I was the first one to make 200 and something. And I was coaching one program, not two.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was a sacrifice that was made to do that. There are people that took the hits for me to even be in these institutions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There were people who took hits throughout our history in order for Joetta to get. Madeline Manning took the hits before Joetta. Joetta took the hits before IJ and even her own sister came in. And I honor that in that space. Dr. Shaw, I'm going to leave it to you. And then we're going to get close to the closing comments for both.
One powerful characteristics that I'm hearing throughout both of these women is self-confidence and self-esteem. They knew and know the qualities and the characteristic of who they were, and that trust in themselves and in their abilities and in their talent is what allowed them to pursue greatness. Not only their pursuit of greatness in themselves, but the greatness of those around them. And I think that's what's also important about this conversation. If you're with someone who doesn't support your dream, who's not affirming you, who's not affirming your goals and aspirations, then you may need to take time to separate yourself from that person, whether it's a coach, a family member, a teammate. Those individuals can hinder you from becoming great. And that's one thing that's echoing throughout the conversation, the importance of greatness and knowing that you know yourself, your abilities, and your talents. And then you're not walking around in a world of deception or a world that's unrealistic to who you are and your value. So critically important.
And can I say
Absolutely.
Can I
Yes,
say,
please,
Coach
Dawn.
Bev? So about having a support system, Dr. Shaw, you have absolutely, you were in the beginning of my support system because at UCLA, this is to everyone to understand, it's okay to talk to somebody. It is okay. When I say I knew nothing, I was like, I mean, Jeanette told me, that's Coach Bolden, told me to go talk to her because I'm like nervous and I'm like trying to figure out certain things. And she's like, you need another opinion. You need another opinion. And I remember sitting down talking with you, and the question will forever be with me because what you did was you helped me put things in perspective. My life was wrapped up in this dream. I'm at UCLA. I'm the first since Jackie joined the Kersey. I'm from East St. Louis. Everything's on your shoulders. If it doesn't work, when you go back home, they're looking at you. What is the people are betting you won't make? I mean, everything. It was just noise. And I remember sitting down and talking with you, and I'm doing all my spiel. You asked me questions, and you said, "Okay, Dawn, what will change if you don't go to the Olympics? What will change if you never win a gold medal? What will change?" She's like, "Will your family stop loving you?" And I was like, "Well, no." And she's like, "Well, this is it." I'm like, "Well, no." Okay, well, this. I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Okay." And I was like, "Oh, oh." It was
I'm free. I can go. I'm going for
seriously, because I had made it seem like the world ended if not. And she's like, "You just told me the most important things in your life will never change if you do or don't." So she's like, "So go for it." And I was like, "Okay." So it was, I'm serious. That stuck with me. I mean, that was something that, I mean, was part of my foundation still to this day of like, well, my mom and my daddy and my husband, and it ain't going nowhere. So let's try it, type of thing. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
very, 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 very extremely powerful moment, because at the end of the day, they always tell us to be strong. No, that's when you're at your weakest. I often get people who come to me for advice and then get mad at me about truth. I'm giving you advice based upon where you're trying to go, not based upon your feelings. Step out your ego and step into your dream. And sometimes people have to challenge you in that space, and it's very uncomfortable. And I always say this: you can't pour into a full cup. If you think you know everything,
Right,
then you're not learning anything. And that's critical. And both of you were very, very open. Joetta knew more about her race than me, but allowed me to pour in. Dawn knew more about herself, but allowed Tracy to pour in, because your thoughts will lie to you if you stay in them. They lie so much. He don't like me. She don't like me. They talking about me. Like, what? I'm not good enough. I'm not going to make it. No, that's not your truth. That's your fears.
Yes.
And Bev, if I want to say something too about being
Please.
fearless, because as an athlete, I don't have a gold medal from the Olympic Games. I got the gold medal of life. I've got a college degree across the world. I met many amazing people, and I've had the opportunity to start a business that's been around for 3 decades now. My foundation, Joetta Clark Sports Foundation, and Joetta Sports and Beyond. And then I say this because it's more about me being able to be in the business world, to be Black, to be a woman, and be in it for decades. And that stands to the discipline, the focus, the motivation that I learned from track and field, the life lessons that I learned from track and field. And when we talk about ABIS, it's about, yes, we are in track and field, but this is a $1 billion industry. So everyone's not going to be a track athlete or an Olympian, but you can be the coach, the sports director, the sports psychologist. You can have contracts, and people don't know about this. So I have a program called Cisco.
You could be a vendor.
Exactly.
It's $1 billion businesses, and we're not getting any of the pie. By comparison, we're percentages. Less than, we're single digit percentage.
Right.
And we've got to be better. We got to be more supportive.
Yes.
And united. And we could go on, and these two will come back, I promise you.
Great.
I'm saying it for them. They're going to come back. But I also want to allow them to close. What are you doing? What words would you have for our audience in your departure? What would you like to leave them with?
Okay,
Well, everyone's smiling, so I guess I'm gonna say something. Well, I'm gonna do two things. I want to say that I'm very thankful to be on this platform and to be still in the space of track and field, not as an athlete, but as a parent now with my daughter Talitha, who will be runs the 400 meters. And I say all of this because the shoulders that people stand on, he has my shoulders to stand on as well, and that's very important. Through my Joetta Effect mentorship program that I do, my motivational speaking, is not about what I can do for myself, but it's about what I can do for others. And so that's why I want to leave with everyone with the garden of success. And in this garden, you plant 6 rows of peas. Have a purpose, get prepared, be patient, get perturbed, persevere, and pray. In this garden, plant 3 rows of squash. Squash gossip, squash criticism, squash indifferences. In this garden, plant 3 rows of lettuce. Let us love one another. Let us do better by one another. And let us take care of our health. And no garden would be complete without 3 rows of turnips. Turn up for yourself, turn up for your health, and turn up with the idea to do better tomorrow than you did today. And if you really guard with that ace, be accountable, credible, and enthusiastic, then you will be in pursuit of greatness, because that is the garden that we're planting, a garden of greatness. And so I want to leave you with that, because it's not about what we are doing, it's about you maximizing your skill sets and being the best that you can be, and then putting people in your space that will help you get to your goals, be it in sports, be it in business, be it as a parent, whatever it is. If you don't have accountability partners that'll keep you on the straight and narrow, then no matter what, you're going to have some friction. So that's what I want to close with, Bev, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Powerful.
I mean, should I have gone first?
You.
No, that was just awesome. I mean, exactly, very, very powerful. I mean, to echo a little bit of what she just said, is honestly, thank you so much for IBS for even putting on something like this, understanding there's a need and there's importance for us to see us and to hear us and to know that we all have a story, but your story is valid, important. Your dreams are attainable. Right? You're going to have moments. I just love that we both talked about moments. We said your back was against the wall and how Dr. Shaw said, but we knew we still had a choice. You absolutely, in your moment of, there's no way that no one else gets it. Okay, say that we don't, but you get it and you have a choice, right? It's your life. And I have said to myself, I just want to be happy with the choices that I make, whether no one else knows them. I'm telling you, look back 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, 20 years from now, and you want to think about that situation and be happy with the decision that you made. I'm telling you, making decisions that you feel like are best for you will take you so far in life. And it will just have you happy with yourself, to be honest, whether it works out or not. You're like, I did the best I knew how. And that's really all that we can honestly do. But I will say that me right now, because it's the Olympic year, I was talking with my husband and I was talking with some friends, and, you talk about the Olympics, and I'm someone that can just rattle it off. Like, I'm like, when people do this, then maybe this will help, or maybe that'll help. And I love to kind of hit you between the eyes with it, because you come to me with a question, and if you want to sugarcoat it, I don't really do a lot of sugarcoating. Okay. And so I kind of, on my social media, Instagram, theharp100mh, I do this thing called do or die. And what I mean by do or die is either you do it or the dream dies. Like, kind of as simple as that. And so it's got really, it says Olympians, but I promise you it's to kind of any and everyone that watches. I love to just kind of break down things and say, this is your mindset. There's possibly another way to interpret it, this and that, this and that. And so I'm kind of giving a little bit of insight into the Olympic journey. Because so many people have asked me questions of like, so around this time of year, like, what were you doing, or what is this and that? And I kind of give you that insight, and I have a fun time doing it. Me and my husband have a podcast on YouTube. It's called The Real Nelsons, where we talk about everything family.
You got to watch both of them online. They are phenomenal.
We a mess. We talk everything. We say family, fitness, and relationships. a friendship that turns into a relationship. That's what ours was. And then I do motivational speaking. And I just feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm just having a good time, and I'm praying about the decisions that I make, and I'm praying that I'm blessing people. So just like I've been blessed along the way. So that's what I'm doing.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I just want to leave everyone with the fact that the one thing that you'll notice is the common denominator is that they walk in their truth. The other thing is they didn't seek comfort. They sought solutions on their journey. Too many times we seek someone who's going to have a pity party with us, and that's not production. There's no such thing as pity and productive. So you have to walk in your inner spirit and not within your ego. Your ego is the only thing, it's only good to tell you, yes, I can. That's that ego against all odds. But to get through it, you got to go deep into your spirit and know. So whenever they ran into a roadblock, if you notice, both of them went to someone for help or had conversations, and they wanted truth. They didn't want it sugarcoat. They wanted truth, because they're looking for solutions and not comfort. And that's critical when you walk into a space. Your feelings are valid because they're your feelings. They may not be your truth. That's just how you feel in the moment. Your truth is your vision. So stay within your vision. Allow people to tell you truth by pouring in. Make space for it. Don't come to me if you don't want to know truth about how to move beyond it. So that's what I'm going to say on that. The other thing is, please follow these young ladies. If you haven't, go to the ABIS website. Also, we have a YouTube channel called Pursue Greatness on top of our Pursuit of Greatness series. Dr. Shaw is doing some phenomenal things, so I'm going to let her close us out. Also, look up ABIS because there's a gala that's being held in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be honored as one of the honorees. It's an amazing event. Some of the great legacies that are here now and have done it in the past will be there. Make sure you're there. I'm sure at some point these two young ladies are going to be on that podium at one of those events, because they are not just phenomenal athletes, but as you can see, you can't be phenomenal in one area and be lacking in another. That's how they made the transition. And they were both disciplined before the adversity, and they used that discipline to get them through adversity. So be disciplined and seek truth for your vision. Dr. Shaw, is there anything you want to say before we close out? Because I have had the most amazing blessed moment in this podcast. And next week we're actually doing one on financial coaching. So make sure you stay tuned and contribute. Dr. Shaw?
Yeah. Bev, I just have two words. You talk about these women being phenomenal. In order to be phenomenal, you have to know greatness. And these women have walked in greatness for many, many years. I would just encourage individuals that partake in the discussion to listen to it again so that you can grasp those nuggets of knowledge and wisdom that can create that greatness in you. And I would just want to say, learn to be your authentic self, and being your authentic self, you'll know who you are, and you don't need approval from anyone.
Oh, very, very powerful. We want to give a shout out to UCLA on Dawn's behalf. We want to give a shout out to the University of Tennessee Hall of Famer, Joetta Clark. Amazing. Just go ask Joetta. Yes. And so I used to always tell my athletes, at the end of your career, make sure that you don't leave the university anonymous, that nobody knows you were there, first. And second, don't leave the university and they're glad you're gone.
I was just inducted into UCLA Hall of Fame.
To Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Bam.
I was like, oh, so yay.
That's the common denominator. You understand the common denominators. And
That's
Coach
awesome.
Avery and the new coach, Coach Michelle Freeman, is at UCLA building on the dynasty off of the shoulders of people like Dawn. And Tennessee has done a huge resurgence off of the but you can't. My greatest fear in walking into Tennessee was following a legacy of greatness at that age.
Well, you did a great job, and their program is resting on what you did. And to Dawn's point, I was inducted into the Walk of Fame at Tennessee. There's a Walk of Fame that we have now. I was already on the wall in the Hall of Fame, but I think that, and I have to say this, I still think about it to this day. This summer, I was inducted to the NCAA Collegiate Hall of Fame at Eugene, Oregon. And the reason why that is such an amazing accomplishment for me, I got inducted with my friends, people who I ran track with, Conley, Ronaldo Skis Nehemiah, Michael Carter, Sheila Hudson was a part of my class, and it was just amazing to be there with people who are in my Rolodex. Normally, when you're in the Hall of Fame, you don't know them, but just to be there and have those people right there with me, and to have my friends there and family there. It really, I was upset I didn't get into the first Hall of Fame, but God knew He wanted me second with my friends and my buddies who we could talk about. Mike Conley, another one, who we could go back and talk about things that we did as little 20-year-old people. Now we're 60, 61, and we're still friends. And that's what this sport does.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
For life. And it started, we were 17, 18, and 19. Here we are doing well by the grace of God at this age and being healthy. So thank you for letting me say that. But my heart just comes with glee just to know that happened, and I had my friends and family there this summer. That was really special.
And it may take time to get in these Hall of Fames because it's not about a moment, it's about a journey. I've been inducted in every Hall of Fame except the USA Track and Field Hall of Fame. Maybe one day I'll get there, maybe I won't. But either way, I'm grateful to be on the journey that I'm on. And I'm grateful to people like ABIS, the Women's Sports Foundation, international organizations. Whoever honors your journey is honoring the person in the journey, not the accomplishments. And that's why it was so vital for me to talk about who you were as opposed to what you did.
Yes.
God bless you all. I thank everybody for tuning in. I usually go every other week, but we're going to go next weekend, and we're going to talk about, because we don't talk about financial. And we need to talk about financial coaching and how it impacts our communities and how to maximize your moment in sports. Because I always tell people, sports income, even if you look at NFL, NBA, the money doesn't last. And they're making phenomenal amounts of money if you don't manage it right. So please tune in. And these two young ladies have made the sacrifices to have the smiles on their face that they have now.
That's right.
Because you don't have a smile when you are barely living and barely eating and don't know how to survive after sport and don't know how to survive in retirement after your career. It's critical that you set yourself up internally and financially. God bless you all. And Joetta and Don, I will have you back. Even if you're coming back as co-host, you will be back.
Okay.
Thank you.
God, that's a deal. You notice I ain't asked. I told them.
Oh,
That's the only way I know you.
Yes.
Don, you want to tell that one story you was gonna say?
Listen.
You ain't know I could smile.
Y'all want to lean in. So y'all know this Coach Bell. See how with earlier Miss Bell. Y'all know this Coach Bell. I don't know no Coach Bell that really even got teeth, because she was like we would go to track meets and she would be. So I went to UCLA. Her girls were coming our way. She was leading them, and we like, just look this way. Don't even look her in the eyes. don't. I remember we were doing a relay practice 4x1 real quick, and the girls were, we counting our steps, setting stuff up, and I had a friend on her team. I was like, hey, she was like, I can't talk to you. And I was like, girl, what's that? Like, I'm counting steps. We can count and say hi. I'm like 13, 14. She like, don't get me in trouble, Coach Bev right there. And I'm like, and when I say after that, she ain't said no more. She's like, if you don't get it, I ain't getting in trouble for you. Like Bev said, be focused. They rolled out too. I mean, but whatever. But we ran well too.
I always had the feeling that you can't walk on the sideline of a football or basketball game.
Oh, I hear that.
Because they are focused.
That's true.
And you unimportant. Why would my girls be less important in their space of competition? I don't care what you do before. I don't care what you do after.
Yes.
But the only people you talk to at a meet is the people who buy into your dream.
And they did, because they was not talking to us.
And Bobby did the same thing. Bobby did.
See, I was at UCLA.
And we all got it from Ed Temple. Because Ed Temple was my best friend was Chandra Cheeseborough. And that was running. Because we were both homegirls. We both came from Florida. She blew me out, but we ain't going to talk about that. But I would watch Coach Temple. And he was the epitome of what I wanted to be. And later, as I started coaching, it was Bob Kersey. Mm-hmm. And me and Bobby used to bump into each other and not say a word. And people never knew we were close.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like Bobby showed me that there's a time and a place. How about that?
There you go. You summed it up. And I want all of you that are watching in your workplaces, in your workplaces, that is not your friendships. That is your place of vision. Right. That's where you make your living.
Yeah.
That's not where you make your heart.
And I especially say when it comes to sports, because oftentimes, not all the time, oftentimes, they really just trying to play with your head and get in your head. Yeah. So they saying all this little stuff, trying to figure out things so they can see your weak points or see where they can. So I'm like, yes, there are times when you do have good friends, but for the most part, like, I'm out here to destroy dreams. Watch out. Like I was a straight monster and killer. So once I understood what Bobby was trying to tell me, I was like, oh, that's why we not really out here talking.
Because Dawn became me as an athlete.
Yes, she did.
She was locked in. When she made that transition, she was locked in.
Absolutely.
Joetta was always locked in.
Always.
From the moment she stepped on the track at practice to she finished, and I ain't even got the competition, Joetta was locked in. Always. So I'm asking all of you, lock in.
Lock in.
Your dream is valuable to your future. God bless. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
And everyone have a good night.
Yep.
Oh, can I give a shout out to Ash Creations and to Maddie B, who run our program? Yay! You guys do a phenomenal job. Follow them. Maddie B and Crash Creations run this program. Thank you, Ash Samuels and Maddie B. God bless. Take care and follow everybody.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.